There is nothing wrong with you, and you did not cause your partner to cheat. You probably don't believe this yet, but my hope is that by the end of this video, you will have a slightly different perspective on who is the cause of the betrayal by infidelity in a relationship. It might be helpful for you to purge the self-blaming expressions that you've been repeating to yourself. Write them on paper or record them. Let them out. What's wrong with me? Why wasn't I good enough? Am I not attractive enough? How did I fail? What could I have done to prevent this? Am I not smart enough? What am I missing that the other person has? Why wasn't I good enough anymore? Sound familiar? It's probably on a continual loop in your mind, all focused on what is wrong with you. Somehow, when we learn about a partner's betrayal from cheating, we fail to ask, what is wrong with them? We don't spend countless hours ruminating about the cheater's character defects or psychological issues. We spend that time condemning ourselves. If they had needs that were unmet, or an overall dissatisfaction, or even felt completely neglected in the relationship, it's their responsibility to communicate those needs or end the relationship if they feel it's no longer working for them. We don't consider whether they have a sex addiction or are higher on the narcissistic scale, where people feel entitled to do as they please and often have an insatiable need to feed their ego. A lack of empathy makes it easier for people to cheat. What if they had a lack of impulse control and make spontaneous decisions for immediate gratification without any consideration of the consequences? Or maybe that cheating partner feels so inadequate and lacks self-esteem that they seek the external validation to compensate for their deeply rooted insecurities. We are so preoccupied with asking what is wrong with us that we don't give a moment's thought to their attachment style. What if they had an avoidant attachment style, cheating as a way to maintain emotional distance from the psychological intimacy a healthy relationship requires? Or consider the anxious attachment style person who may cheat as a way to reassure themselves that if you abandon them, they will still have someone. The cheater could have a very low sense of commitment and be emotionally distant, not really invested in the relationship. They could be bored or a thrill seeker, or maybe they're cheating as a way of dealing with difficult emotions through escapism, rather than having a meaningful or vulnerable conversation. It's also entirely possible the cheating partner has an actual personality disorder, diagnosed and treated or not yet diagnosed, where the likelihood for them to cheat is higher. These disorders may involve impulse control, emotional instability, a lack of empathy, a low self-image, deceptive behavior, or an inability to build stable and trusting relationships. I'm Patty Blue Hayes. I went from wanting to die when my 17-year relationship ended to loving my beautiful life. I'm here to help you blossom beyond heartbreak and cultivate hope as you sow the seeds of healing. Are you starting to see how their decision to cheat is about them and who they are? In fact, it's very likely that this isn't the first time they've betrayed a partner. They might have even told you about it early in the relationship when you were still in the limerence phase and the flood of bonding endorphins drowned out your rational and critical thinking skills. Let me know in the comments if that's happened to you with this cheating partner. How do you stop blaming yourself for their behavior? By choosing different thoughts. In practice, this is not as easy as it sounds because you've got these things called emotions and the ego and your own deeply rooted beliefs and self-concept. See if this example helps demonstrate how unfounded it is for you to believe you were the cause of their behavior. Imagine a beautiful antique gold-framed mirror hanging on a wall in front of you. When you look into it, the reflection you see is clear and accurate, representing your true self. Now imagine as you're standing there looking into the mirror that someone takes a hammer and shatters the mirror. The image you see in the mirror becomes distorted and fragmented. The shattered mirror and the resulting distorted reflection are the direct consequences of the actions of the person holding the hammer. The brokenness of your reflection says nothing about you as a person, but everything about the person who chose to break the mirror. The act of cheating is a reflection of the character flaws, insecurities, and choices of the person who committed the betrayal, rather than any inadequacy or fault in the partner who was cheated on. The faithful partner's worth and value remain intact, just as the original clear reflection in the mirror remains a true representation of their self-worth. The distortion and damage are solely the responsibility of the person who caused the harm. Through the lens of a growth mindset, we can ask ourselves what our part was in the relationship dynamic, but that is not intended to be a self-blame, condemning session about all your perceived flaws going back to the 4th grade. I will use my own journey as an example. In time and with perspective, I observed that I had become too passive, had few boundaries, lacked confidence, and was not autonomous. Was that the cause of his cheating? No. But those characteristics are what kept me in an unhealthy relationship dynamic. If I had a higher sense of personal worth and value, confidence, and autonomy, I likely would have ended the relationship when I noticed behaviors that weren't consistent with my values or our marriage vows, and that weren't changing or at times even being acknowledged. Have you watched a few of my videos and found them helpful? Let me know by subscribing to my channel. If you slip into over-personalizing the actions of your partner, try to desensitize the emotional charge by imagining that your partner is a bank teller you've been going to for years, making deposits and withdrawals in person because you're old school. You have friendly chats and even know the names of his rescue dogs. One day you show up at the bank and he's not there. A supervisor tells you the teller stole funds from customers' accounts and is on the run from authorities. Sadly, your account was one of them. Are you going to collapse in the supervisor's arms and start crying about what's wrong with you that the bank teller stole your money? Are you going to even consider, what if I'd asked more questions about his dogs? Should I have dressed up more going to the bank? Was I a bad customer and this is my karma? No, of course not. It seems silly to even consider that. And yet that's what we do when we discover infidelity. Your cheating partner is the bank teller with their own unknown to you history, story, psyche, motivators, values, mental health, impulse control, ethics, and morals. If you find yourself slipping into the self-blame, imagine that the ex is simply a dog rescuer bank teller turned thief. Will you ever know why they did that? No, probably not. And do you really want to give your attention, energy, and focus to the inner workings of that criminal? Distance yourself from the temptation to believe that you hold such tremendous power over another human being that you caused your partner to think, feel, and do what they did. The next time you see yourself in the mirror, take a moment to gaze into your eyes and remind yourself of your values, your morals, your positive attributes, your standards, and your integrity. Keep doing this type of mirror work, and in time you will develop the strength, insight, and trust in yourself to never allow another person with a hammer into your life. Remember, you're on a journey of healing and transformation. The seed does not become a blossom overnight.